Time shouldn't have frozen on that walkway. Yet it did, long enough to save 17 lives. And the one who made the impossible happen wasn't a weapon or a god, just a human who refused to let someone fall. If you're here, tell me where you're watching from and subscribe so this universe keeps growing. Now let's begin. Marcus Hale knew every broken thing in Pioneer Square by heart. The street light on 2nd Avenue that flickered 3 times before staying lit. The bench near the fountain with the loose bolt that squeaked when anyone over 200 pounds sat down. The railing by Pier 62 that had started to corrode exactly where the rain pooled after storms. He fixed them all. Slowly, carefully, with the methodical attention of a man who had learned that small things mattered because he had failed at something big. The leg bothered him more on Tuesdays. Some phantom memory of the accident maybe, or just the weather. He limped past the ferry terminal, tool bag heavy on his shoulder, and tried not to think about the bridge. About the sound metal makes when it tears, about how many seconds he had been too slow. That was when he first saw her. She stood near the water, notebook open, head tilted slightly as if listening to something only she could hear. Her skin caught the late afternoon light in a way that made him think of old bronze sculptures, warm and slightly otherworldly. Surrealist, probably. He had seen a few around the city since the integration program started, most kept to themselves, following whatever mysterious schedules brought them to Earth. This one walked the same path every day at the same time. He knew because he did too. Marcus had his route. Pier 62 to the waterfront park, past the old carousel, ending at the bench with the view of Elliott Bay. Rain or shine, he walked it after his shift. The doctors said movement helped. He thought maybe it was just easier to keep moving than to sit still with his thoughts. The alien woman walked too, but differently. Like gravity suggested rather than demanded. Like she was learning the city one careful step at a time, writing it all down in that notebook. Earl, the old fisherman who spent his afternoons on the same bench Marcus liked, had noticed her too. "That girl walks like she's apologizing for existing," Earl said one day, not looking up from his tackle box. "You ever see someone move that careful? Like the world might break if she steps too hard." Marcus grunted, adjusting his weight off his bad leg. He had not planned to have conversations. He came here to walk, to fix things, to not think about failing. But Earl was right. There was something almost painfully gentle about the way she moved, the way she held her notebook like it contained something fragile. The rain started as a mist, the kind Seattle specialized in. Not enough to bother with an umbrella, just enough to make the boardwalk slick. Marcus was checking the railing near the carousel when he heard the small sound. Not quite a gasp, more like a surprised exhale. He turned in time to see her feet slip, notebook flying from her hands, pages scattering across the wet wood like startled birds. People walked past. A jogger dodged around the papers without breaking stride. A couple with matching coffee cups stepped over a sketch that was getting soaked. Marcus moved without thinking, bad leg forgotten. He knelt, gathering the wet pages as quickly as his hands could manage. Drawings of Seattle, the Space Needle, Pike Place, the ferry terminal, all rendered in careful, precise lines. "I am sorry," she said, kneeling beside him. Her voice carried an accent he could not place, soft and slightly musical. "I should have been more careful. Don't worry about it." He handed her the soggy stack. "I've fallen way worse around here. Comes with the territory." He tapped his leg. She looked at him then, really looked, with eyes that were too large and too green and somehow exactly right for her face. "Thank you," she said. "Most people just walk past." "Yeah, well?" He stood, offered his hand. "Most people are in too much of a hurry." Her hand was warmer than he expected, and for just a second, the mist seemed to hang in the air a little longer than it should have. But then she let go, and the world moved normally again. And Marcus told himself it was just the rain playing tricks with the light. "I am Ilian," Saad, she said. "Marcus?" He picked up his tool bag. "You walk this route a lot." "Every day." She held her notebook close. "I am trying to understand Seattle. It is very different from home." "Yeah," he said, because he did not know what else to say. "It grows on you?" She smiled, small and uncertain. Perhaps it already has. The rain picked up, and they parted ways, but the next afternoon, when Marcus walked his route, she was there again, and the afternoon after that. And somewhere between the carousel and the bench with the view, they started walking together. Neither of them said much. She would point at buildings, ask quiet questions. He would answer, or not, and somehow the silence felt comfortable, like two people who had both learned that the world kept moving whether you talked or stayed quiet, and sometimes quiet was easier. Earl watched them pass one day and muttered something about how some people fix broken lights and some people just walk through the dark writing it all down. Marcus did not ask what he meant. He was just glad to have company that did not ask about the bridge. The notebook pages had dried wrinkled. Ilian showed him 3 days later, apologetic as they walked past the ferry terminal. The drawings were still visible, just warped now, like memories of the city rather than perfect copies. "I like them better this way," Marcus said. It was true. The imperfection made them feel more real, more lived in. She tilted her head, considering. "You study structures, I study cities. Perhaps we are not so different." "Used to study structures," he corrected. "Now I just fix what breaks. Lights, rails, benches." He shrugged. "Small stuff." "Small things matter," she said quietly, "often more than large ones." They walked in comfortable silence until they reached the bench. Earl was not there today, just them and the gulls, and the sound of water against the pilings. Marcus watched the ferries cutting their slow paths across the bay and tried not to think about bridges, about calculations he had checked 3 times, about how sometimes everything can be perfect on paper and still end in twisted metal and silence. "You do not work on bridges anymore," Ilian said. Not a question, an observation. He stiffened. "How did you... the way you look at them?" She gestured across the water where the West Seattle Bridge cut a clean line against the sky. "Like something beautiful that hurt you." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "There was an accident 3 years ago. Bridge construction. People died. I was the engineer who signed off on the design." "But you followed all the protocols." "Yeah." His hands clenched. "Every single one. Still did not matter." Ilian was silent, and Marcus was grateful she did not offer empty comfort, did not say it was not his fault, or that he had done his best, or any of the things people said when they wanted you to stop feeling bad so they could stop feeling uncomfortable. Instead, she said, "I understand wanting smaller responsibilities. They feel safer." "What did you do?" he asked. "Before Seattle?" Her hand moved to her wrist, touching a thin silver band he had not noticed before. "I tried very hard not to do anything at all." There was something in her voice that made him want to ask more, but he had learned that some stories needed time. So instead he said, "You want coffee? There's a place near here that does not water it down." She smiled, and for just a moment, the afternoon seemed to stretch a little longer than it should have. They talked about easier things, music, food, the strange human obsession with putting coffee in increasingly complicated forms. She laughed when he described a pumpkin spice latte, the sound surprised and genuine, as if she had forgotten she could make that sound. Walking back, Marcus noticed something odd. His phone showed 5:47 p.m., but the ferry schedule board still displayed 5:44, probably just the board running slow. Happened sometimes. But then he glanced at the clock tower near Pike Place and it read 5:45. He shook his head. Between his phone and 2 clocks, one had to be right. Ilian walked beside him, quiet again, her hand still touching that silver band. He wanted to ask about it, but something in her posture suggested doors better left closed. "Same time tomorrow?" he asked when they reached the split where their paths diverged. "Yes," she said. "I would like that." That night, in a building neither of them had ever entered, Dana Ruiz sat at her desk reviewing the day's sensor logs from the Xeno Human Integration Monitoring System. Most days, the reports were tediously normal. Aliens buying groceries, filing paperwork, living their quiet, monitored lives on a planet that was not quite home. But today, there was a flag. Small. Easy to miss if you were not looking. Temporal variance detected. Location: Waterfront Park Area, Seattle. Duration: 0.003 seconds. Subject: Registered Cerealis. Integration ID S3847 IY. Dana pulled up the file. Ilian, age listed as 31 Earth years, which meant nothing for Cerealis aging. Occupation: Cultural Observer. Status: Cleared for public integration with standard monitoring protocols. But there was a note, flagged in red. Historical temporal distortion events on Homeworld. Approved for Earth placement pending behavioral compliance. Any recurrence requires immediate evaluation. Dana stared at the screen. 0.003 of a second. Could be sensor error. Could be atmospheric interference. Could be nothing. She flagged it for follow-up and closed the file. On the waterfront, Marcus walked home with a strange feeling that the day had lasted both longer and shorter than it should have. But Seattle did that sometimes. Made you lose track of time. He told himself it was just a good day. He did not know that time was exactly the problem. Leah appeared on a Thursday, 8 years old and full of opinions about everything. "Uncle Marcus." She barreled into him at the pier entrance, her mother trailing behind with an apologetic smile. "Hey, troublemaker." He caught her with the ease of practice. "Thought you had soccer." "Cancelled. Rain." Leah looked at the light drizzle skeptically. "Mom says this does not even count as rain." "Mom, is this rain?" "For normal places, no." His sister Rachel grinned. "For Seattle, barely. Marcus, I need to run to an appointment. Can you take her for an hour?" "We are just walking." "Perfect. She loves walks." Rachel was already backing away. "Thanks. You are the best." And she was gone. Leah stared up at him with dark eyes that missed nothing. "You walk with someone. How did you?" "Mom told Aunt Christine you have a friend now." "Is she your girlfriend?" She's—" Marcus stopped because he genuinely did not know how to finish that sentence. "We walked together, that's all." "Okay." Leah grabbed his hand. "Let's go. I want to see if the SEALs are at Pier 59 today." They found Ilian at her usual spot, notebook out, sketching the market. She looked up as they approached, and something in her expression softened when she saw Leah. "Hello," Ilian said, crouching to be at eye level. Marcus noticed she did that, made herself smaller for children. "I am Ilian." "You are really pretty," Leah announced. "Are you one of the alien people?" Marcus says I am supposed to say extraterrestrial, but that is too many syllables. "Leah," Marcus warned, but Ilian laughed. "I am Cerealis, and thank you. You are very pretty too." "I know." Leah grabbed Ilian's free hand with the confidence of someone who had never learned that strangers might not want to be grabbed. "Do you want to see the SEALs? Uncle Marcus takes me, but he walks slow because his leg is broken." "It is not broken," Marcus said. "It is just different," Ilian supplied gently. "And walking slow means you see more. I think your uncle is very wise." Leah considered this. "Okay, you can come with us." They walked, Leah between them, chattering about school and her friend Madison, who ate paste, and the incredibly unfair fact that 8-year-olds could not drive cars, even though she was very responsible. Marcus watched Ilian listen with complete attention, asking questions, treating Leah's observations as if they mattered. When Leah stopped to examine a particularly interesting piece of driftwood, Ilian waited patiently, not rushing, not checking her phone, just being present. Something in Marcus's chest felt strange, warm, almost painful. They were crossing near Pike Place when it happened. Marcus was telling Leah about the bridge inspection scheduled for next week. He did not know why he was talking about it. The words just came out. They found some issues with the new bridge downtown? Probably nothing. but they want someone to review the plans. His hands were shaking slightly. He hated that they still did that. "Are you scared?" Leah asked with the blunt honesty of children. "A little," he admitted. "That is okay." She squeezed his hand. "Mom says being scared just means you care about doing it right." They were near the crosswalk, light about to change, when the cyclist appeared. No lights, no warning, just a blur of motion and the squeal of brakes that came too late. Leah had stepped off the curb, distracted by a dog across the street. Marcus's mind calculated the angles instantly. The cyclist's speed, the distance, his own bad leg. He would not make it. "LIA!" His voice cracked, and then the world changed. It did not stop. That would have been too simple. Instead, everything slowed until it felt like moving through honey. The rain hung in the air, individual droplets visible and suspended. The bicycle wheel turned, but at a fraction of its speed. Rubber meeting pavement in extreme slow motion. Marcus's shout stretched out, sound waves lengthening into something deep and distorted. Ilian moved. She pulled Leah back in one smooth motion, touched the bicycle's handlebar, adjusting its angle, steadied Marcus's footing so he would not fall, reaching for his niece. And then time snapped back. The bicycle swept past, so close Marcus felt the breeze. The rider shouted an apology and kept going. Leah stood safe on the sidewalk, eyes wide. "Whoa!" Leah breathed. "That was close." Marcus's heart hammered. "Yeah, that was—" He looked at Ilian. She was pale, hand pressed to her wrist, to that silver band. Her breathing was wrong, too fast, too shallow. "I should go," she said quietly. "I am sorry. I need to—" And she turned and walked away quickly, not running, but close. "Is she okay?" Leah asked. "I don't know." Marcus watched her disappear into the crowd. His mind replayed those seconds, the impossible speed of her reaction, the way time had felt wrong. No, he was in shock. That was all. The brain did strange things under stress, made seconds feel like minutes, made normal reflexes seem impossible. That night he dreamed about the cyclist, about moving through thick air, about Ilian's face, terrified not of the danger but of what she had done to stop it. And in a climate-controlled office, Dana Ruiz stared at a new alert. Temporal distortion detected. Duration, 1-2 seconds. Location, Pike Place Market Area. Subject, S3847IY. She pulled up Ilian's file and typed a single line in the log. Class 2 event detected, schedule interview. Then she reached for her phone. The Xeno-Human Relations Agency occupied the kind of building designed to look welcoming while being anything but. All glass and plants and soft lighting that could not hide the security cameras in every corner. Marcus sat in the lobby, leg bouncing, trying not to look like he was waiting for someone who might be in trouble. He did not know why he had come. Ilian had sent a single text, agency interview, routine. But nothing about her tone the last 3 days had been routine. She had still walked their route, but quieter, more careful, like she was afraid of taking up space. The elevator opened. Ilian emerged, followed by a woman in a crisp suit who had the look of someone professionally done with everyone's problems. "Mr. Hale," the woman offered her hand. "Agent Dana Ruiz, I understand you are a friend of Ms. Ilian's." Yeah, we walked together." He looked at Ilian. "Is everything okay?" "Standard integration follow-up," Dana said smoothly. "Nothing to concern yourself with." But her eyes said something else. They said she had questions and not enough answers, and Ilian was a variable she did not know how to classify. "Can I talk to her?" Marcus asked. "Of course." Dana smiled. "She is free to go." They walked in silence until they reached the waterfront. Earl was at his bench, tackle box open, not fishing, just watching the water in that way he had. "You two look like someone died," Earl observed. "No one died." Marcus sat heavily. His leg ached. "Can you give us a minute?" "Nope." Earl pulled out a thermos. "Coffee's better with company. And that girl looks like she needs to tell someone something before it eats her alive." Ilian stood very still. Then, slowly, she sat on the far end of the bench. "The time thing," she said, "with the bicycle. You felt it." Marcus wanted to say no, wanted to keep pretending, but he had been lying to himself about big things for 3 years, and he was tired. "Yeah, I felt it. My people call it the truce. It is," she struggled for words, "when we feel something deeply enough, fear for someone, desperation to protect. The world slows, time itself hesitates." Earl whistled low. "Hell of a party trick." "It is not a trick." Her voice hardened. "It is a curse. People like me, we are mistakes. Dangerous. The last time I used it before Earth, I saved my brother from a transport accident. But when time returned, the vehicle went through a wall. The building was empty. No one died, but they saw what I could do. And they sent you here," Marcus said, "for everyone's safety, including my own." She touched her wristband. "This helps, suppresses the emotional triggers. Most days I barely feel anything at all, but you felt something that day," Earl said. "For the kid." Ilian nodded. "And the agency knows. They monitor for temporal distortions. They called me in to remind me of the rules. No attachments, no interventions, no—" She looked at Marcus. "They told me I should stop walking with you, that emotional bonds make the truce more likely." Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. "So you came to say goodbye?" "I came to say I do not want to." She met his eyes. "I have been alone for a long time, Marcus. Alone in rooms full of people. Alone on a planet that was home until everyone decided I was too dangerous to keep. And then I met someone who fixes broken lights and walks slowly and does not ask me to be less than I am." "You can stop time," Marcus said. "That is terrifying." "Yes." "But you stopped time to save Leah." "Yes." "And you are scared of what you can do." "Yes." Marcus thought about bridges, about calculations that were perfect until they were not, about how the thing you were most afraid of could still be the thing you were built to do. "What if you did not do it alone?" he asked. Ilian frowned. "I do not understand." "The truce. What if you had someone to, I don't know, anchor you, keep you grounded?" He felt stupid saying it. "Like, I don't know anything about time manipulation, but I know about structural support, about distribution of load. What if you were not carrying the weight alone?" "That is not how it works." "Yeah, well," he smiled slightly, "that is not how bridges work either until someone figures out a new way." Earl poured coffee into 3 cups. "Boy's got a point. Time bends around you two already. I got eyes. My watch runs slow when you are near. Gulls hang in the air a little longer. Maybe that means something." "It means I am dangerous to be around," Ilian said. "Or," Marcus countered, "it means we figure out how to make dangerous into useful together." She looked at him for a long moment. "Your kindness could break physics." "Could," he agreed. "Or it could prove that physics has more flexibility than everyone thinks." Ilian laughed, short and disbelieving. "You want to experiment with temporal distortion because you think kindness matters more than safety." "I want to walk with you tomorrow," Marcus said simply. "Everything else we can figure out as we go." She was quiet. Then, "The agency will not approve." "Then we do not ask permission." He held out his hand. "We just walk carefully." She looked at his hand, at Earl, who was very deliberately not watching them, at the water and the city and the evening settling in. Then she took Marcus's hand. Time did not stop, but it felt, just for a moment, like they had all the time in the world. They started small, a leaf falling. Marcus stood beside Ilian in the park, hand on her shoulder, and she breathed slowly, reached for that terrible place inside where fear and love tangled into power. The leaf slowed. Not much, just enough that they could see each individual vein, the way brown bled into gold at the edges. Then it fell normally, and Ilian gasped. "It worked," she breathed. "It felt different, not like fighting, like sharing." Marcus's hand was warm on her shoulder, steady. "Again?" They tried with raindrops, with a bird taking flight. Each time the world stuttered just slightly, and each time Ilian felt Marcus there in her mind, not controlling, just present. A foundation to build on. "The agency will say this is proof we should not be near each other," Ilian said. "The agency is not here." Marcus smiled. "Besides, you said the truce responds to emotional connection, right? Makes it harder to control?" "Yes, but you are controlling it better now, with me here." She tilted her head. "Logic says connection should make it worse. Logic has never met humans." He held out his hand. "Come on, I want to show you something." He took her to the construction site of the bridge. They stood behind the fence, watching crews work on a different project now, something smaller and safer. "I have not been back here since," Marcus said quietly. 3 years. Felt like if I came back, I would see them, the guys who did not make it. Henderson, Park, Mikhail." He gripped the fence. "I signed off on that design. Every calculation perfect, every safety check passed, and they still died." Ilian did not touch him, just stood close enough that he could feel her there. "I wanted to fix everything after that, every small thing in the city. Like if I could keep enough lights from going out, enough railings from breaking, maybe it would balance out." He laughed bitterly. "Stupid." "It is not stupid to try to save what you can. Even when you could not save what mattered most? Especially then." They stood in silence, watching workers move with careful coordination, safety harnesses secure, following protocols that would probably not save everyone if something went catastrophically wrong, but might save someone. "I am terrified," Marcus said, "that if I try something big again, I will fail, that people will die because I was not good enough." "And I am terrified," Ilian said, "that if I feel too much, I will break the world. So we are both afraid of being powerful." Yeah, Marcus looked at her. "Is that what you think we are? Powerful? You can forgive yourself enough to keep trying. I would call that powerful." He reached for her hand. She took it, and for just a moment, the construction site held its breath. Not frozen, just paused, like the universe was listening. When time resumed, Marcus was crying, silently, but crying, and Ilian held his hand and did not let go until he was ready. Walking back, they heard the cat, terrible yowling from a tree near the market. A tabby stuck 15 feet up, clinging to a branch while a small crowd gathered below. "Someone call animal control," a man said. "They take hours," a woman countered. "Poor thing will fall." Marcus looked at Ilian. She looked at him. "Absolutely not," she said. "It is a cat in a tree. It is a test. It is practice." She sighed. "If I get arrested, you are explaining this." They moved closer. Marcus kept his hand on her shoulder, grounding, focusing. Ilian breathed slowly and reached for the truce. The cat slowed mid-yowl, mouth open, paw extended. The crowd gasped as time itself seemed to thicken around them. Marcus grabbed the ladder someone had brought, climbed slowly, retrieved the cat, which moved sluggishly, confused. Climbed down. Ilian released the truce. The cat yowled, time resumed, and the crowd applauded the man who had somehow moved faster than they had seen. "Did you see that?" Someone said. "He just blurred." "Camera tricks," another argued. "Angle thing." Marcus handed the cat to its owner and walked back to Ilian, who was leaning against a wall, breathing hard. "That was reckless," she said. "That was amazing." He grinned. "You held it steady the entire time. 5, maybe 6 seconds. 7, and I felt you there, like a handhold in a current." They walked to their bench, exhausted, and exhilarated. Earl was not there, just them in the water turning gold in the sunset. "Marcus," Ilian said quietly, "what we are doing. The agency would call it dangerous. Probably. They would separate us. Probably. But you still want to try." He looked at her, really looked, at the way she held herself like she was always ready to apologize for existing, at the notebook she carried to make sense of a world that had exiled her, at the gentle way she treated every small thing like it mattered. "Yeah," he said, "I really do." She leaned her head on his shoulder, very carefully, like she was afraid he would break. Time did not stop, but it slowed just a little, just enough for them to sit there as the sun turned the water into gold and the city hummed its evening song, and neither of them wanted the moment to end. When they finally stood to leave, Marcus's phone showed 2 minutes had passed. His watch said 15. And somewhere in an office, Dana Ruiz stared at another alert and reached for her phone. "Unauthorized temporal manipulation detected," she murmured. "This is getting complicated." Dana Ruiz brought the file in person. She met them at a coffee shop, neutral territory, with floor-to-ceiling windows that made privacy impossible. Marcus had learned that was deliberate. Hard to have uncomfortable conversations when witnesses surrounded you. "I am going to be direct," Dana said, sliding a tablet across the table, "because I think you both deserve honesty." Ilian's hands trembled as she looked at the screen. Marcus leaned over to read with her. "Transfer authorization. Surrealist subject IY 3847. Reason for placement. Cultural exchange program." Then in a subfile marked restricted, involuntary exile. Subject deemed high risk for temporal incidents. Family petition approved by Surrealist Council. Earth placement designated as permanent monitoring situation pending compliance with no contact protocols. "You told me it was voluntary," Ilian said softly. "Integration program." "I told you what I was authorized to tell you?" Dana's expression was carefully neutral. "The truth is your family wanted you gone, not dead, not imprisoned, just somewhere you could not hurt anyone they cared about." Marcus felt rage build, hot and sick, in his throat. She saved a kid, her brother, and caused tens of thousands in property damage, destabilized a temporal field large enough to affect 3 city blocks. Surrealist technology is exquisitely sensitive to temporal fluctuation. What she did could have cascaded into something catastrophic. Dana looked at Ilian. "You know this. They explained it to you." "They explained I was broken," Ilian said. "That love made me dangerous. That the kindest thing I could do for everyone was to feel as little as possible." Her voice cracked. "So I came here, took my medication, followed my rules. And then I met someone who made me want to feel everything." Dana's expression softened slightly, which is exactly the problem. She pulled up another file. Research analysis on Surrealist temporal manipulation in bonded pairs. Marcus scanned the technical jargon, but the conclusion was clear enough. Deep emotional bonds exponentially increased truce manifestation probability and duration. In theoretical models, a Surrealist bonded to another being could create permanent temporal distortions, reality-tearing paradoxes. "You could accidentally rip a hole in causality," Dana said bluntly. "The more you care about him, the more dangerous your power becomes." "So your solution is we stop seeing each other," Marcus said. "My solution is I follow protocols, which say—" Dana pulled up another screen. This one was worse. A news article from that morning. "Temporal alien poses, Seattle threat. Anonymous source reveals secret time manipulation by Xeno-human program participant." The byline read, "Ronan Blake." Marcus felt cold. He was recording us, at the bridge, the walkway. The article was breathless sensationalism built around a kernel of truth. Mystery alien with dangerous abilities integrated into unsuspecting population. Unnamed sources suggest potential for catastrophic temporal events. City officials demand answers. "He got video," Dana said. "Not clear." just enough to show something strange. Frames missing, light bending wrong. She met Ilian's eyes. The Council is already getting calls, pressure from both governments. They want you repatriated. How long do I have? Ilian asked. I am buying you 48 hours. After that, Dana shrugged. I am sorry. I genuinely am. But my job is protecting this planet from threats. And right now, every analyst is telling me you are one. After she left, they sat in silence. Marcus's coffee had gone cold. Ilian had not touched hers. This is my fault, Marcus said finally. I pushed you to test it, to use it. If you had just let me stay isolated and medicated and alone, Ilian smiled sadly, then I would have been safe and empty and exactly what they wanted. But now you are going to lose everything. Now I had something worth losing. Marcus's hands clenched. There had to be a solution, some way to prove she was not a threat, that they could control the truce together, that love did not have to equal destruction, but every path he traced led to the same conclusion. The more they fought this, the more attention they drew, the more risk she posed, not because she was careless, but because caring was the risk itself. Maybe, he said slowly, hating every word, maybe it would be better if you went back. Ilian went very still. What? Not forever. Just until things calm down. Until we can figure out a way to prove... He was lying. He could hear it in his own voice. There would be no way to prove anything. Once she left, she would stay gone. I just don't want you hurt because of me. Because of you, Ilian repeated. Marcus, you did not do this. I did. My power, my curse. Our connection made it worse. So our connection made me feel human. She stood abruptly. But you are right. I should go. Not to my home world, just away from you. So you do not have to worry about breaking reality because you were kind to the wrong person. Ilian, but she was already walking away, and Marcus let her go because he was good at that. Good at pushing people away before they could get hurt worse. Good at taking responsibility for disasters he could not actually control. He sat alone in the coffee shop until they closed, turning over the same thought. He had survived the bridge collapse by learning to avoid big risks. But avoiding risks also meant avoiding the things worth risking everything for. And he was very afraid he had just made the same mistake twice. 4 days without walking. Marcus did his route alone, past the ferry terminal, through the park to the bench. Earl was always there, saying nothing, which was somehow worse than if he had said everything. On the 5th day, Leah asked where Tia Ely was. Marcus said she was busy. Leah, with the terrible clarity of children, said, You made her leave, did not you? He did not answer. His sister Rachel pulled him aside after. What happened? She was dangerous. People were scared. It was better for everyone. Better for everyone, Rachel repeated. Or easier for you. He wanted to be angry, could not find the energy. That night, he dreamed of the bridge. But in the dream, when the metal screamed and people fell, Ilian was there, reaching, stopping time. And he was the one telling her no, do not risk it, let them fall. It is safer that way. He woke gasping. Dana called on day 6. Deportation order finalized. She leaves tomorrow night. Thought you would want to know. He thanked her, hung up, stared at the phone. Earl found him that evening, sitting on their bench in the rain. You are getting soaked, Earl observed. Yeah. Girl's leaving tomorrow. I know. Are you going to do anything about it? Marcus laughed bitterly. Like what? Tell her to stay? So she can keep being monitored and feared and pushed away every time someone decides she is too dangerous? Or, Earl said, you could tell her you were scared and stupid and that you are sorry. She is better off. Boy, Earl's voice cut sharp. I watched you walk this pier for 3 years, fixing little things, avoiding big ones, making yourself small because you were afraid of breaking something that mattered. Then, that girl showed up, and for the first time since I met you, you looked like you wanted something more than to just survive. And look how that turned out. It turned out complicated. Complicated is not the same as wrong. Earl stood. You know what your problem is. You think love is supposed to be safe, but love is the opposite of safe. Love is saying this person matters more than my fear. This connection matters more than my comfort. Love is terrifying, and you are running from it, same way you ran from bridges. I am trying to protect her. You are trying to protect yourself from failing again. Earl picked up his tackle box. But here is the thing about failing, Marcus. You only actually fail when you stop trying. Everything else is just learning. After he left, Marcus sat in the rain and thought about Ilian, about the way she walked like she was apologizing for existing, about her drawings of a city she was trying to understand, about the first time she had smiled at him, surprised, like she had forgotten that was something she could do, about holding her hand as time stretched golden around them. He checked his phone. 2:47 a.m. Made a decision. Ilian's apartment was in Capitol Hill, a narrow building with bad lighting and a door that stuck. He buzzed. No answer. Buzzed again. The intercom crackled. Marcus! She sounded wrecked. Let me up, please. The door clicked. He climbed 3 floors, legs screaming in protest, and found her waiting in the hallway. She wore an oversized sweater and had clearly been crying. It is 3 in the morning, she said. I know. I am sorry. He struggled for words. I lied when I said you should go back. I was scared. I am always scared. But I was wrong. Marcus, I thought keeping you at a distance would keep you safe. But all I did was make you feel alone again. And I am done making decisions based on fear. He stepped closer. You told me once that small things matter. That fixing lights and rails and benches matters, because it is what you can do. Well, maybe I cannot fix everything. Maybe we cannot make the world stop being afraid of what you can do. But I can walk beside you. I can be your anchor when you need one. I can choose you over safety. Ilian's eyes filled. The agency will never allow it. Then we make them allow it. We prove that together is safer than apart. We find a way. He held out his hand. But I need you to stay. Not because I'm telling you to. Because you want to. She looked at his hand. I am terrified of what I might do, of hurting people, of hurting you. I know. I am terrified too, of failing, of losing people, of trying something big and watching it collapse. He smiled slightly. But I am more terrified of not trying, because you were right. When I am with you, I want to fix more than broken lights. I want to fix what is broken in me. You are not broken. Neither are you. You are powerful and kind. And the fact that your power comes from caring is not a curse. It is what makes you extraordinary. She took his hand. Slowly, carefully. Time rippled around them, not stopping, not even slowing much, just acknowledging. If I stay, Ilian said quietly, everything gets harder. Yeah, probably. The agency will watch us constantly. Probably. People will be afraid. Almost certainly. He squeezed her hand. But I am more afraid of what happens if you go. Because I have spent 3 years surviving. And you made me remember what it feels like to actually live. She pulled him into her apartment. They sat on her couch, not talking, just being. Outside, rain hammered the windows. Inside, 2 people who had spent too long being afraid chose something different. The deportation is tomorrow, Ilian said. Then we have until tomorrow to figure something out. That is not much time. No, Marcus leaned back. But time is kind of your thing. She laughed, broken and real. Idiot? Yeah. He did not let go of her hand. But I am your idiot. Fear, he realized, did not disappear just because you chose something, but maybe that was the point. Maybe courage was not the absence of fear. Maybe it was looking fear in the face and saying, "This person matters more." They had 16 hours. Marcus called Dana at 5 a.m. She answered on the first ring, which meant she had not been sleeping either. "I need a favor," he said. "A big one?" 20 minutes later, they sat in an all-night diner. Dana looked exhausted. Marcus probably looked worse. "The inspection of the new elevated walkway," Marcus said. "The one scheduled for this afternoon." "What about it?" "I want to be there, officially, as a structural consultant." Dana frowned. "You have not done bridge work in 3 years. Walkways are not bridges, and I still have my license. I just need someone to request me specifically." He met her eyes. "And I want Ilian there too." "Absolutely not." "Hear me out. You want proof that she can control the truce, right? That she is not a threat. What better way than a controlled demonstration? Witnesses, documentation, a situation where her ability could save lives if something went wrong. You want to create a dangerous situation to prove she can handle dangerous situations." Dana rubbed her temples. "That is insane. That is a public safety test. Happens all the time. Stress tests, failure analysis." He leaned forward. "Look, I know you have orders. I know the council wants her gone, but you also have a job protecting people. And when something like this happens again, would not you rather have someone who can help? Someone we understand and can work with?" Dana was quiet for a long moment. "If this goes wrong, my career is over. If this goes wrong, a lot more than careers are over." Marcus did not blink. "But it will not go wrong, because she is not going to be alone. I will be there. And I am very good at keeping structures from collapsing. And that is not reassuring given your history." "My history is 3 years of fixing things without a single incident, of checking and double-checking and being so careful that nothing ever breaks on my watch." His voice hardened. "The bridge was not my fault. The investigation cleared me, but I let guilt convince me I was not good enough. I am done with that. I am good at this. And together, we are better." Dana stared at him. Then, incredibly, she smiled. "You know what? Fine. I will delay the deportation by 24 hours. Equipment malfunction. Paperwork error. Something." She stood. "But Marcus, if this goes bad, I cannot protect you." "I am not asking you to." By noon, they had gathered on the new walkway. The structure was beautiful, all glass and steel, suspended above the water near the port. Families used it as a shortcut between the market and the waterfront. Today, it was closed for inspection. Earl showed up, uninvited. "Heard there was excitement happening. Figured I should see." Leah came with Rachel, who gave Marcus a look that said, "We are talking about this later." And surprisingly, Ronan Blake appeared, looking guilty and smaller than Marcus remembered. "I owe you an apology," Ronan said. "Both of you. I was chasing clicks and I did not think about what it would cost you." Dana reached out. "Told me what you were trying to do. Asked if I wanted to cover a real story instead of a sensational one." "And you said yes?" Ilian asked quietly. "I said I am a journalist who screwed up and wants to do better." He held up his camera. "So yes, if you will have me." Marcus looked at Ilian. She nodded. "Okay," Marcus said. "Then let us do this." They walked the walkway together. Marcus explaining structural elements, load distribution, safety margins. Ilian listening, asking questions, her hand occasionally brushing his. Earl watched the sky with the attention of someone who had spent a lifetime reading weather. "Storm coming," he said. "Not a big one, but enough to make things interesting." Rachel kept Leah close, but Leah kept asking Ilian questions. About the truce, about her home, about whether time manipulation hurt. "It used to," Ilian said, kneeling to Leah's level. "When I fought it, when I was afraid of it. But with your uncle, it feels different, like sharing something instead of carrying it alone. Like holding hands? Leah asked. Exactly like that. They stopped at a food cart near the walkway entrance. Marcus ordered fish and chips. Elian looked at the greasy, paper-wrapped bundle skeptically. You want me to eat this? It is basically a Seattle requirement, he demonstrated, dousing his portion in malt vinegar. She tried a bite, made a face, tried another bite. This is terrible. Yeah. Why am I eating more? That is the question. Marcus grinned. She laughed, genuine and surprised, and for a moment everything felt normal. Like they were just two people eating bad food and walking by the water and figuring out what came next. Then Dana's phone buzzed. She checked it, frowned. Weather advisory just updated. Storm coming in faster than predicted. We should clear the walkway. But as she spoke, wind gusted hard enough to rattle the structure. In the distance, thunder rumbled. Marcus felt his stomach drop. This was supposed to be controlled, documented, safe. The universe, apparently, had other plans. Everyone off the walkway, Dana ordered. Now. But Earl pointed across the water. That tour boat, it is heading for the pier, in this wind, with the current. Marcus saw it, saw the angle, saw the pilot compensating too late, saw the small family on the walkway directly below, where the boat would scrape the pilings. Saw Leah, balloon in hand, too close to the edge. He looked at Ilian. She looked at him. Are you ready? He asked. No, she said, but I am done waiting to be ready. She took his hand, and the world held its breath. The drone came from nowhere, a delivery unit, caught by wind, its navigation scrambled by the sudden storm. It tumbled through the air at an angle that was all wrong, trajectory screaming toward the walkway's support cable housing. Marcus saw it happen in the terrible slow motion of an engineer's nightmare. Impact point, structural weakness. The panel mounting that would shear, the heavy glass and metal assembly that would fall, right toward the people below. The couple with the stroller, the elderly tourists examining a map. Leah, her balloon string wrapped around her wrist, looking up at the sky. He tried to move, leg, screaming. Too slow, always too slow. LIA! His voice raw. Ilian felt it all at once. Marcus's terror, Leah's innocence, the couple frozen in confusion, the sheer fragile mortality of everyone on this walkway. She did not choose the truce. It chose her. Reality stopped. Not slowed. Stopped. Rain hung in the air like crystal sculptures. The drone was a frozen sculpture of metal mid-tumble. The boat had become a static display piece, wake spreading in perfect circles that did not move. Every person on the walkway was a statue of flesh and fear, caught mid-breath, mid-thought, mid-prayer, except Ilian, and, impossibly, Marcus. He moved slowly at first, a twitch, a blink, then more, fighting through the temporal amber that should have held him completely frozen. Their eyes met. What? His voice was distorted, pulled through molasses. How am I? The connection, Ilian gasped. Her entire body shook from the effort of holding this much reality still. You are part of what I am trying to protect. The truce is letting you move, partially. She could feel it stretching, the temporal field expanding beyond anything she had ever attempted. It was not just the walkway now, it was the water beneath, the air above, a sphere of frozen time that was eating her alive from the inside. I cannot... She fell to her knees. Too much. Too big. I'm going to get stuck. Between moments. Forever. Marcus forced himself forward. Each step took incredible effort, like moving through concrete. But he reached her, knelt beside her. Then do not hold it alone. She? He put his hands over hers. Did not try to take the weight. Just shared it. His presence a foundation, a structure to build on. We let go together, he said. Not all at once. Fractions. Like releasing pressure in stages, like adjusting a load-bearing wall. That is not how time works. That is not how time worked. We are rewriting it. He managed to smile. Carefully, they moved together through the frozen world. Ilian repositioned people with Marcus's help. The couple with the stroller pulled back. The tourists shifted behind the pillar. Leah moved 3 steps to safety. But the panel was still falling. Still would crush someone when time resumed. Marcus studied it with an engineer's eye. The emergency latch. There. If I can engage it, you cannot reach it. Not in real time, but in this time. He looked at her. How much can you give me? Seconds, maybe. If we release impulses, then that is what we do. They positioned themselves under the panel. Marcus's hands on the emergency mechanism. Ilian's hands on his shoulders. On 3, he said. Release 1 second of time. Then hold. Then release another. This could kill you. If I lose control, then you will catch me. He said it with such certainty that she almost believed it. 1. Ilian gathered every shred of will she had left. 2. Marcus adjusted his grip on the mechanism. 3. She released a fragment of time, 1 second of reality. The panel dropped 2 inches. The structure shrieked. Marcus twisted the emergency latch with everything he had. Truce again. Hold. Again, he gasped. Another second. Release. The panel shifted. Marcus engaged the secondary lock. His shoulder braced against the weight. Truce again. Hold. 1 more. Final one. Release. The panel settled onto the emergency brace. Locked. Stable. The weight now distributed safely onto the structural supports Marcus had identified. Now all of it, Marcus said. Let time go. All the way. Ilian looked at him. At this man who had walked beside her every day, who had taught her that kindness was not weakness, that power did not have to equal destruction. Together, he said. Together they released the truce. Time snapped back like a rubber band. The drone hit the cable housing. The panel fell. But now it fell onto the emergency brace, making a sound like a thunderclap, but holding. The structure shuddered but did not collapse. Everyone stumbled, disoriented. The couple grabbed their stroller. The tourists clutched each other. Leah stared up, balloon still in hand, and Marcus stood in the middle of it all, one shoulder against the panel brace, tool in hand, looking like he had just manually caught a falling section of walkway with nothing but reflexes and luck, which, from everyone else's perspective, was exactly what had happened. "Uncle Marcus!" Leah ran to him. "You saved everyone!" He looked at Ilian. She was collapsed against the railing, breathing hard, but alive. Whole. Free. "No," he said quietly, so only Ilian could hear. "We did." Ronan's camera had caught it all. The footage was strange, frames missing, light bending wrong. But it showed Marcus and Ilian working together, showed them positioned exactly right, showed impossible coordination happening in less time than should have been possible. Dana watched the footage 3 times. Then she made a call. "Cancel the deportation," she said. "I have a better idea." On the walkway in the aftermath, Marcus helped Ilian stand. Their hands stayed linked. "That was the most terrifying thing I have ever done," she whispered. "Yeah, me too." He smiled. "Want to do it again sometime?" She laughed, broken and beautiful. "You are insane." "No, I am just finally understanding something." "What?" "That time does not bow to us because we are powerful. It bows because we trust each other enough to be vulnerable. Because we choose connection over safety." He squeezed her hand. "Because kindness is the strongest force in the universe." The rain began again, washing away the fear. And time, for once, just moved normally, because it did not need to do anything else. The meeting happened in the same glass building, but this time Ilian walked in holding Marcus's hand. Dana sat across from them with 2 officials Marcus did not recognize. One human, one Surrealist. Both looked like they had spent the last 3 days arguing. "The footage is compelling," the Surrealist official said. Her voice held the musical quality all Surrealists shared. But it proves our point. The truce is unpredictable, dangerous. It also saved 17 people, Dana countered, including 2 children and 4 tourists who would have filed lawsuits that would have made my life hell. Agent Ruiz? No, listen. Dana pulled up more files. We have documented evidence of controlled temporal manipulation. Not only controlled, but collaborative. Mr. Hale provides emotional grounding that allows Ms. Ilian to use her ability with precision we have never seen in Cyrillus subjects. Or, the human official said, the emotional connection increases the likelihood of manifestation events. Your own data shows. My data shows that when she was alone and suppressed, we got random fear-based activations. But with Marcus as an anchor, we get deliberate, life-saving interventions. Dana leaned forward. I am proposing something radical. Instead of treating the truce as a curse, we treat it as a resource, with oversight, with training, with purpose. You want to weaponize it? The Cyrillus official said coldly. I want to use it to save lives. Dana brought up a proposal document. Project Time Borrowed, a pilot program studying practical applications of controlled temporal manipulation, medical interventions, emergency response, situations where seconds matter. Ilian spoke for the first time. With respect, counselor, I have spent my entire life being told my gift is a curse. That caring makes me dangerous. But 3 days ago, I held time itself in my hands and no one died. Not because I am strong, because I had someone to share the burden with. She looked at Marcus. Humans have a saying, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either falls down, one can help the other up. My people never understood that. We see connection as weakness. But humans, her voice caught, humans see it as strength. The meeting lasted 3 hours. In the end, they agreed to a trial period. 6 months. Closely monitored. Limited applications. Marcus officially designated as Ilian's human anchor, with emergency response training and structural engineering consultation privileges restored. Ronan's article ran the next day. How 1 man and 1 alien stopped time to save Seattle. It went viral. Not because people believed it was literally true, but because the story behind it resonated. About fear and trust, about taking dangerous things and making them tools for good. The application started small. A surgical team requested assistance with a delicate procedure. Ilian held time for 7 seconds while the surgeon made an impossible repair. The patient lived. A house fire. Rescue team could not reach a child trapped on the 3rd floor. Marcus and Ilian gave them the extra seconds needed. The firefighters moved like ghosts through slowed time. The child survived. An elderly man in a hospice, his daughter racing to say goodbye. She would not make it, not normally. But Ilian gave them 5 minutes that lasted an hour. They said everything that mattered. He passed peacefully. Marcus returned to structural engineering. Not building bridges yet, not ready for that. But consulting on safety, on what could be done if they had just a little more time to check, to adjust, to get it right. And every evening, they walked. Same route, Pier 62 to the waterfront park, past the carousel that now had a plaque reading, in recognition of Marcus Hale and Ilian, whose quick thinking prevented tragedy. But they never stopped to read it. Earl was always on his bench. Leah joined them twice a week, full of questions about time and space and whether Ilian could teach her to slow things down just a little during math tests. Absolutely not, Ilian said, but she was smiling. 6 months became a year. The project expanded. Other Cyrillus with temporal abilities, the ones who had been hidden, medicated, isolated, started coming forward. Marcus helped develop the Anchor program, taught people how to be present, how to ground, how to share impossible weight. Some of them succeeded, some did not. But for the first time, having the truce was not a sentence, it was a choice. On a Tuesday evening, 1 year and 4 months after they first met, Marcus and Ilian stood at their bench, the one with the view, the one where Earl still sat most days, tackle box open, not fishing, just watching. "You know what I learned?" Marcus said. "All that time I spent fixing small things because I was afraid of failing at big things. I was wrong about something." "What?" "That small things do not matter as much. They do, but being afraid to try big things because you might fail, that is another kind of failure. The permanent kind." Ilian leaned against him. "Poetic." "I have been practicing." "I noticed." She was quiet for a moment. "Do you ever regret it? Choosing this? Choosing me? Your life would be simpler. My life would be empty." He turned to face her. "You taught me something, that the value is not in stopping time, it is in being fully present in each moment, even knowing it will end, especially knowing it will end." She smiled. "You stole my line." "Borrowed." He grinned. With interest. The sun was setting, painting Elliott Bay in shades of gold and copper. Tourists walked past. Joggers. People living their ordinary lives, unaware that two people standing at a bench had literally bent time to save them. "If you wanted to," Marcus said quietly, "you could freeze this moment. Make it last forever." Ilian took his hand. "I could, but that would miss the point." "Which is?" "That every moment matters because it ends. That kindness has power precisely because it costs something. That love is worth it not despite the risk, but because of it." She squeezed his hand. "Humans taught me that. You taught me that." Time flowed normally around them. Rain beginning to fall, ferries crossing the bay, the city breathing its evening rhythm. Marcus thought about bridges, about the ones that fell and the ones that stood, about how the difference was sometimes just having someone to share the load, about how the scariest thing in the world was caring enough to try, about how that was also the only thing that ever actually mattered. "Hey, Ilian?" "Yes?" "Same time tomorrow?" She smiled, small and certain and whole. "Every day." They walked together into the rain, not stopping time, not needing to. Just two people who had learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust someone else with the weight of the world. And that kindness, stubborn and illogical and absolutely human, was the only force strong enough to make time itself bow. Not because it had to, because it wanted to. Behind them, Earl chuckled to himself and packed up his tackle box. He had known from the beginning how this would end. You fix broken lights long enough, eventually you start fixing broken people, including yourself. He headed home as the rain picked up, and if anyone had been watching they might have noticed his watch running just a little slow, the way it always did near those two. Time, it seemed, had learned to be kind. In the end, Marcus and Ilian learned something most civilizations, human or Surrealists, spend centuries trying to understand. That the real miracle isn't stopping time, but choosing to stay when everything in you wants to run. Because sometimes the bravest act in the universe is letting someone else hold a piece of your fear. So here's the question the story leaves behind like a ripple in slowed time. What part of yourself have you been holding back? Because you're afraid it might break something, when it might actually save you. What would happen if, just once, you trusted someone enough to share the weight instead of carrying everything alone? And, dangerous thought, what if the thing you fear most is exactly what could teach you how to live? If you stayed with us until this moment, write Anchor in the comments so I know you were here for the whole emotional time-bending chaos. Tell me your city. Our strange little interstellar community is somehow global. And if this story slowed your heartbeat even for a second, hit subscribe, hype it up. Share it with someone who might need a reminder that connection is not a liability. And stick around for the next story in the card on your screen, because time may keep moving, but we're just getting started.